Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome, Thursday night live stream. It's gonna have a really cool live stream. It's gonna be a little different tonight than usual. Um, my buddy Ace, who I did the episode this week with, is going to be joining us for a live Q&A. And he's going to answer all of your addictions and mental health questions, and we're just going to get into all that. And then also after that, we're going to get into the music news, Ticketmaster news, not-for-profit, and then we'll go over, like last week, and we'll watch the full episode with Ace Piva. How's everybody doing tonight? So I think we're just going to wait on Ace here, see what he's up to. Give him a Send him a message there. Nate, what's happening, man? Thanks for popping in. So I'm just waiting for Ace to join us here. Then we'll get that going. So we're going to do a live Q&A. How's your night going, Nate? What are you up to? I think this is going to work. I don't know. I've never had a guest on the live stream before, but I think I know what I'm doing. Oh, having a little vapey vape. Nice. So, whoopsie. Oh, damn. I'm just like messing up my OBS right now. Oh, there we go. We're back. Well, no, we're not. What's happening? Oh, there we go. I see what's going on. We'll do it live. That's right, man. Got to, Ace is late, man. It's not like him. He's a show guy. He's always on time. Oh. Give me a second. I just got to email Ace. Always good practice killing dead air. Yeah, I know, right? So I'm just going to email Ace here quick and get him into the chat here. Doopy-doo. And that's sent. Let's get out of here. So yeah, I'm really stoked to talk to Ace. Ace is in case you have been watching the links I've been putting up, Ace is a addictions and mental health recovery coach. He's a tour manager, and he's kind of combined the two practices. So what he'll do is he'll go on the road with an artist who is in recovery and kind of guide them along, do all the typical tour manager stuff, but also just be that support, that extra support they need, whether it's mental health or addictions with drugs or alcohol. So he's done just some great work. He also started a not-for-profit organization called Over the Bridge. Oh, here he is now. I see him. Ace, you're muted if you can hear me, buddy. There you are. Can you hear me? Nod if you can hear me. All right. So yeah, you just got to unmute yourself, bud. And then I'm going to go here. Pardon this slow start here. We're going to get into it momentarily. I just got to join the chat with Ace. All right. Can you hear me still? Your mustache is looking great, man. Okay. Looks like I got to unmute button has left the chat. Yeah, we'll get there. So Ace, if you like click on the screen, there should be like a little mic thing at the bottom. Now I just gotta. I gotta get Ace in the picture here before we. Oh, there we go. Just gonna be a quick and dirty edit. You know what? This is good enough. I don't need the border. Still can't hear you, buddy. we'll we'll get there, folks. We'll get there. If you have any questions for Ace, let's start putting them in the chat there, and I can try to. Ace won't be able to see the chat. So if you have any questions for somebody in the mental health or addictions recovery field, put them in the comments. He looks great though. I can see him right now. He's got his mustache all done up nice. Oh. I wish I could just unmute him myself here. He's like miming to me right now, apologizing. So yeah, I can just go through the news here. We got some new updates from the Live Nation Ticketmaster. They've been lobbying a new bill to be passed at the tail end of this hearing. So we're going to get into that. What we're also going to do is talk about a new ticketing platform that's been raising some funds called Jump, that is owned by Alex A. Rodriguez, a former baseball player turned investor. And so I have some information on his new platform. Oh, I think he just left. So maybe he'll come back in and he'll be unmuted. And then we're also going to talk about there is a, let me just pull it up here. There's a new ban on TikTok on government devices. So that's really interesting. And, it does fall into the music industry. And I'll get into exactly why and how that could have some effects on the music industry. It's a big news. TikTok is one of the biggest growing social media platforms, and it's all a war for the data, and U.S. and China and Canada-China relations. And then I got a new article from Ticketmaster, and we're going to kind of dive into a little bit of their operations and the way they have kind of went from a new kind of ticketing service that took the place of physical tickets and box office operations and got to where they are today. So we'll kind of take you through all that. So Nate is saying, I'd love to hear Ace speak on the difference between addictions and substances that are physically addictive. Okay, that's really interesting. Are you on a server voice channel? Does he have permission? Do you have him muted on your end? No. Yeah, thanks, Nate. Yeah, I had him on this voice channel before. Ace, do you want to just try maybe doing like we can maybe do a Zoom call or something? That might be easier for you. Yeah, okay. All right. Let's do that. I'm going to get out of here then. Sorry, folks. I'll be right with you. How do we do this now? Zoom. I have to reset all my stuff here. Oh, I think it'll be limited to a half hour too, because I don't pay for this stuff. So host with video on. Okay, and then I invite participants somehow. Copy invite link. And send it to Ace. All right. Hopefully this will work. So let's talk a little bit about why I find Ace, such an interesting dude. In my early teens and like pretty much all through my 20s, I really, really struggled with addictions. In some ways, still do. Um, I found addictions were kind of just like a veil around all sorts of other mental health issues and stuff. So, you know, like I was completely sober for 4 years, and that really opened up a lot of things to start. Other things come up once you get sober, because all these things are a little shrouded, like I said, and then once you kind of start feeling these feelings, you got to start doing some other work other than the addiction stuff. And being in the industry that I'm in, uh, it's very, very like fast paced. So it's kind of like you get this like high from it, and I was always kind of chasing that, and you know, it's not a very healthy industry a lot of the time. And Ace just started talking about all that stuff. It wasn't being talked about before. Oh, here we go. Admit. See, I don't know how to use Zoom. Ace, what's up, dude? Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Awesome. So, can you say something? I think you're coming through the computer now.
Check two.
Yeah, you're
Hey.
coming through. Yep. Now
Yeah,
I
sorry
just
about that.
couldn't.
I don't know what the
Oh,
button
all
was.
all good, dude. All good. I just got to switch over my camera now. Um, Zoom meeting. Why isn't this working?
Yeah, I was setting every sound thing, speakers and all those. I'm just like, I don't know. Sorry about that.
It's
Fuck.
all good, dude. It's all good. I'm glad you're in now. How's your day
Hmm.
going, dude? What are you up to?
Yeah, pretty good. The wife got a new job, so we went out for a celebration dinner. So
Very cool.
yeah, new school board closer to home. So
What is happening? Why isn't this working? It's like not. It's not coming up. Like I can't see you on the. School board gigs. Yeah, my buddy Nate is in the chat right now, and he is also in the school board.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I don't know why. Nate, have you ever used Zoom on Discord, man? It's not coming up. Like, it's not showing the window. I wonder if Discord has a weird
Have
thing
you
where
done
you
that
can't
before?
record it. No, I've never used Discord before, or sorry, Zoom before for this.
Well,
Oh, it's got to be
sure.
maximized. Here we go. Yeah, see, it's just showing. Okay, well, let's see what happens. Yeah, it's not showing the video. The video's just whited out. All right, well, fuck it.
I'll go back and I'll try that other link again. I just don't know
Just
what's.
stay in. Just stay in here so we can at least hear you. And then, yeah, if you want to hop into the Discord, we can do that too.
Join voice.
No cam tonight. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how about this?
So, yeah, you're still muted on Discord, buddy.
I'm gonna mute myself here
For
for a
some
second.
reason. Oh, and you don't have earbuds in. I'm coming through your speakers back into the stream now. Yo, Troy, what's up, man? Driving home across Calgary, so I won't be very active in chat, unfortunately. Well, thanks for checking in, dude. Good to see you. Drive safe. Don't text and drive, man. Be safe. Be safe out there. Crazy streets of Calgary. Nate, you and Troy know each other. We're all high school buddies. Nate says drive safe, Troy. All right. Well, Ace, do you want to just get into this? Because I'm gonna run out of time if I won't be able to do all my news and stuff. So you just want to go no cam over Discord? I'll just bring a photo of you up.
Oh. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going
It's
on
all
there.
good, dude. Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah,
Like,
my mustache looking
I
all
know
funny.
your mustache looks so good.
Yeah. So yeah. Sorry, it's only my second time using Discord, and I am a newbie, so I apologize for the inconvenience for anybody.
No worries at all, man. I'm just gonna, yeah, I just want to try and pull up a picture of you or something.
Yeah, do a little screenshot here. I'll send this over. Maybe you could use this.
I got it.
Yep.
Got a little something. It's quick and dirty, but it'll work.
Yeah. So yeah. So where do you want to start, my friend?
Well,
Each other
we have some questions already.
Oh, beautiful.
So yeah, just this is my friend Ace Piva. Ace Piva is a addictions and mental health recovery coach and tour manager. He merges the two practices together, and he helps out artists on the road. And is that kind of guide and support group for them for all those extra needs. Did I miss anything, Ace?
No, you pretty much nailed the nail on the head there. So, yeah, I work with artists as part of their recovery journey and help them out with any mental health support. Uh, you know, on the recovery side, uh, I've worked with artists and their family from the family intervention side of things,
Yep.
into rehab, all the way through to getting back on the stage, hiring a proper supportive new team around them if needed. Sometimes change of bandmates, people in their music industry team, in order so it's conducive to their recovery and better wellness. And then on the mental health side of things, uh, I there's a lot of different there's definitely a lot of different stressors on the road, from just not just being homesick
Yeah.
to anxiety about performing, performance anxiety, uh post performance depression. And so I work with artists to manage those feelings and prepare for those emotional for the emotional roller coaster that touring can sometimes bring. So, yeah.
That's really cool, Ace. I always say this when I talk to you, but I really, really respect what you're doing, and I think it's so important. And it's really super proud of you, man. Always love what you're doing. So I got a couple questions here lined up. This one is from Nate. He says, "I'd love to hear Ace speak on the difference between addictions and some substances that are physically addictive."
What does he mean by physically addictive? I know there's
Difference
a few
between
different.
addictions and substances that are physically addictive. Nate, can you explain that a little bit more? And then we'll go on to a message from Troy. What are some addictions or dependencies that most people don't consider or wouldn't think of? That's a really good question.
When thinking about addiction, everyone usually goes straight to drugs and alcohol. But one thing that is often overlooked uh is behavioral addiction. You know,
Yep.
so sex could be a big one.
Yep.
Yeah, sex, spending
Yep.
money, things along those lines.
Gambling,
People,
food.
yeah, gambling, food,
Yep.
uh, yeah, even things like exercise.
Yeah.
Anything anything that you would uh any yeah for behavioral addictions, anything that you would do in order to avoid the problem, the conversation. If you're having problems with your girlfriend at home, you may spend all your time at the gym, just so to avoid it. Obviously, uh work can be one.
Yep.
So, and in this industry, it can be work addiction can be kind of tricky because we're somewhat
Yeah.
seasonal,
Yeah.
unless you're lucky to work all the way around. you know uh Going on the road is a great way to avoid certain conversations, things happening at home. uh you know it, it wouldn't you know I wouldn't be honest if I didn't say I didn't do that in the past before. I knew better to
Yeah.
do better.
Yeah.
So, it's like if you got a problem in a relationship, instead of dealing with it, you think that, well, maybe if I go on the road, or bury myself in 10 gigs, or, for anybody who works for IATSE and stagehands, local, your days are longer than mine. I'll tell you that much. You know, uh, you know, the local stagehands are first ones at the show, last ones to leave. And when you're on a good run, it's easy to avoid, that work life balance and the topics, or the conversations you need to have at home in order to make sure that your home relationships, you know, are balanced. And that doesn't just go with a romantic partner, but also, your parents,
Yeah.
brothers and sisters, and things along those long time friends. So,
Yeah, for sure. It's really interesting. You like so. I remember when my brother passed away. I had just opened my own venue, and like I'm talking like weeks in. So it's like baby brand new. We just opened. We'd been working on it for months, and instead of like taking time off, I worked because like that's like I've been in the industry for over 20 years, and it's always a place to kind of escape. And when you're working, you're not really thinking about yourself. You're not really thinking about your problems. It's just another way to avoid you know dealing with what you're going through.
mhm.
So Nate, that's really so. I guess to answer your question, Troy, did that? I hope that answered your question. So Nate gave a little bit of a explanation here. He says he meant how some substances like cocaine, heroin, alcohol, nicotine, methamphetamine can have a physical dependence.
Oh, dependency. Yeah. So can you read his
I'd love
the
to hear A
first?
speak on the difference between addictions and substances that are physically addictive. So I guess
Oh, so
maybe he's talking about like the
depend
difference between a
dependency.
physical and like an like a physical addiction, and then just like a behavioral addiction maybe, or like a
I think what he's sort of alluding to is the difference between addiction and dependency.
yeah.
So a dependency might be a medication,
Mhm.
right? So, but sometimes medications have like, depending on what, pain medications I was talking about, where sometimes they have opioids and things like that. So, because you want to, you're on the road, you have, you're taking medication in order to get over physical pain,
Mhm.
so, or not even opioids. That's like on the hard, but like aspirin,
Yep.
Tylenol, things
Yep.
along those lines. It's when your body's hurting so much,
Caffeine.
but yeah, caffeine is a huge dependency. No, one that's all. I'm glad you brought that one up. I don't drink a lot of coffee myself, but in the industry, uh, if you don't have a cup of coffee, nothing starts.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. I've
So,
definitely had like the coffee dependency as well, like and it's gotten as bad as like getting headaches when I don't have it. Um, I've I've curbed it now. I'm down to 2 cups of coffee a day, which is probably still more than I should drink, but I only drink it in the morning now. And
right,
yeah, but
right,
it's
but you don't know what someone's is going through. So someone who has like ADHD,
mhm,
coffee is a tool, is a tool that's used to keep people with ADHD more focused.
interesting.
So, yeah, so I learned that I had a roommate who had ADHD and all sorts of anxieties and stuff like that. And 11 o'clock at night, he's downing 2 extra large coffees, right? And I'm just like, you are going to be up all night. He's like, actually allows me to stay focused, and from my
Interesting.
yeah.
Really
So
interesting.
yeah, so if you're a guitar tech, and you need to be focused on your job during the show, and you have ADHD, instead of wanting to look around and all that, you really need to focus in on your thing,
Mhm.
on the job at hand. So, a dependency on something like coffee, is a lot different than, a substance abuse problem,
Yeah.
of, if we're talking, cocaine or something along those lines. uh, if you do enough of that, it's going to be difficult to keep focus on your job.
Yeah.
However, a lot of people who end up starting, maybe, let's start off with something that's more common, like even alcohol,
Yep.
in the music industry, where I know you've talked about this with with one of the other guests is how sometimes you get paid in alcohol in this
Yeah.
industry,
Yeah. Yeah.
You- especially being an up and coming musician.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
remember starting out like doing sound in like some clubs and stuff, and that
yeah,
yeah, it's like we can't pay you much. We'll give you $50 and a bar tab, and then you're going home. I'm like 19 years old, like just coming home shit faced every night after work.
yeah, sounds okay at the time, but like when uh yeah, okay, go and get a little deep here. So
Yeah.
as we grow up, sometimes things happen to us and we go through some experiences that are traumatized. And one of the easiest things to do to manage those experiences, those negative experiences, is turning to, things like alcohol and weed and stuff like that. I know weed is like questionable on a whole bunch of different levels because of medical use
Yeah.
and all that, but I think it truly depends on how you use it
I agree.
and and how you use it in your life. But just for the sake of the conversation, let's just stick to alcohol here. So, alcohol is a way to sort of uh it helps to, you know, put those negative experiences out of your head so you can actually function. So it does initially help, you know, it initially helps you actually work better,
Hmm.
because you're like, okay, you're struggling through all these like really shitty experiences, I'm not going to get into examples because there's, all of them are shit, but they've affected you in one way or another that's prevented you from work. However, alcohol helps you bury those feelings and those emotions, and it does work for some time, until it starts becoming, so prevalent that it starts affecting your life in a negative way. You start showing up late at times, you start avoiding people and situations, and of course, once you start depending on alcohol to avoid sort of like the hangover,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Like a hangover is detox. You're
Yep.
detoxing your
Yep.
body. So, some people get to the point where they start detoxing like really quick, the next morning. So what do? They just, they just keep going and going, so you wake up with a hangover, just how do you get rid of a hangover? You just have another one,
Yep.
and you keep that going, and then you're late for things, you don't keep your point, you don't keep accountable to your friends, and it's difficult to become accountable with yourself. You set out your plans and goals and things that you want to do, and next thing you know, you're just end up in front of the TV and just drinking away, or what other substance of choice you want to put in place of that. So it does become a really deep hole right there. So when you recognize that you're in a situation like that, and I know it's difficult because it really affects our, brings up the feelings of guilt and shame
Hmm.
and things like that. That's the time to really sit back, take check of what's going on in your life, and do the most difficult thing, and is talk with someone about it.
Hmm.
Hopefully the people that are available to you are someone who won't uh someone who won't uh judge you on that, you know or even worse, like enable that behavior.
Yeah.
Because someone goes, "Oh, how much do you drink?" "Oh, I'm drinking this, and this is why I think it's an issue." And they're like, "Oh, that's nothing.
Yeah.
I used to do this and all that." And then, of course,
Yeah.
then sometimes if we start that comparison games, like I
Yeah.
may be doing this, but that guy does even more worse stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not that bad.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, honestly, it doesn't matter what the other person's doing. If you think it may be affecting your life, it
Yeah.
probably is.
So,
So
just to kind of open up Nate's comment a little bit more,
yeah.
like he wanted to kind of talk about like the physical dependence and like addictions, right? Uh, so
Mm.
um, so I think like my opinion on it is like addictions isn't really like you're not addicted to alcohol or you're not addicted to like whatever cocaine or whatever substance or activity, you know, like the addictions comes from just your brain chemistry chasing that that dopamine spike or whatever, and then the
Mm.
dependency comes from the substance you're using, right? If you use cocaine, you kind of become dependent on cocaine, or and then but the addiction is still there, and even if you stop using cocaine completely, you're like, you're still like, you still have like an addict's behavior and brain function where you can kind of like still easily become addicted to like another substance, or another behavior.
Yeah, it's so like, like just to clarify what a physical
And yeah, Nate,
dependency.
those two do have a physical dependence, but what I was getting at was that the addictions is like your brain chemistry, and the dependence comes from the substance.
Right, right. And like when you realize that, the physical dependency, which is like, let's say you're doing a lot, you know, uh, drug of choice, right? And then even with all the unpleasant withdrawals, and and the effects of it, and like we are talking about earlier, all the stuff that we're talking about, like how it affects your life, like with your family relationships and all that, but yet you still go back to it, you know, uh, you know, that's just a major, uh, it's just really bad. It's all right. but yeah, but the physical dependency of the whole withdrawal and the physical symptoms there, where you can't really do anything without it.
Yeah.
And then sort of, the post-acute withdrawal syndromes, uh, which are like typically, uh, sorry, I'm just I got a dog here that's bugging. So, but yeah, but yeah, the physical dependency there, is just, I feel like I might just repeat myself a few times right now. But yeah, it was just the unpleasant feeling of but you're unable to give up the drug in order to uh to live your best life, really.
Cool. Thanks. Hope that answers your questions, Nate. Um, Aiden Fountain, how are you doing? It's great to see you. Thanks again for coming in. I I love that we get to kind of chat a little bit through here.
Mhm.
So Aiden's asking, what correlations do you see between the high of performance and work ethic? How do you see that affect a band dynamic when people have different responses to how performing makes them feel?
Oh, good question.
That's a really good question.
Yeah, so you know, so you got your post performance high,
Yeah.
which I think once you sort of, and I talk with a lot of musicians about this, it's like once you get that little taste of it playing in front of, a small crowd that's, that's accepting of what you're doing, or a large crowd or whatever, people are like, oh yeah, that almost, that feeling turns into a drug in itself.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they just they'll do anything for it. There's not many other jobs where you'd be willing to go homeless for.
Hmm.
Like, has anybody wanted to be a banker so bad that they'll go homeless? No, but
Yeah.
goddamn, like, I just bring that up as an example because that's something I've done. And when I was playing drums in my metal band, I would die for creating and that thrill. I lived in my van, you know, uh, doing that. So, but and then, so can you repeat that second part of it about the ethic?
What correlations do you see between the high of performance and work ethic? How do you see that affect a band dynamic when people have different responses to how performing makes them feel?
Yeah, yeah, I think that could definitely affect the work dynamic within the band big time. Because some
I think
people,
so
I
too.
mean, yeah, because
Yep.
I think some people would be like really nervous and
Yep.
maybe not be as enjoyable
Hmm.
as someone else. And uh, I was doing a study, and some of the findings findings that I found was like, females between the ages of like 18 and 24 uh, had had a higher uh, uh, like dopamine rush
Really?
than male. Yeah, but then you start thinking about, okay, what's happening in your life in that age, like through puberty and things like
Yeah.
that. Like, yes, boys have hormones and all that other stuff, but like there's a lot of different factors.
Yeah, of course.
You know, you know, and but when females, uh, although those experiences were positives, when it was a negative experience, females felt that harder than males did,
I see.
right? So so that I just found that to be an interesting find there. And and I think that music is all created by passion, especially if you're really like want to make it. It's a very passion driven industry. So if you got someone, let's say a drummer who's like uh playing in any musician who's playing in a band that's like really not feeling it, maybe it's not their jam or whatever. Let's say you're a jazz player, but you're somehow got suckered into playing in a metal band
Yeah, yeah.
or a hard rock band. You're not going to put in the same effort
Yeah.
as you will if rock is your thing.
Hmm.
Uh, so I think how you feel after shows going to dramatically
Yeah.
affect your ethic. And when you say the work within the band, I kind of assume you're talking about like off stage work. Uh, you know, like booking shows, things along those lines.
I'm
Because
not, I'm
there's
not too
usually,
sure what she meant.
yeah, because
I found a little bit when I'm dealing with certain people. Like I noticed this a lot on like a recent tour I did, where one artist was like newer, so they didn't have the confidence. So after the show, instead of like kind of being like pumped, they were really down.
mhm,
And like it was interesting to see that because um, the other guy was kind of he would be very nervous before the show, and she would be all like weird and jittery, and then after the show he would be kind of back to his normal self and like riding a little higher, and she would be into herself and reflecting on you know all the things in her head that she thought she fucked up, but she could have had a great show.
right.
So it was like that. It's that weird
So,
dynamic
so,
of different people just react to things differently. Like, you could have a great show, but two people could still view it very differently. And
yeah, yeah. Like there's so many things on stage, like,
yeah,
from crowd reaction to technical problems to hitting one note. And if you're not confident in your playing, a real confident player will play that same wrong note three times and make it feel as if they meant to do
oh,
it
the
and they
Jimmy
really
Page
felt it.
method.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And then other people, you know, some people hit that wrong note and it'll ruin them,
yeah, yeah,
right? And if they just get inside their head a lot, and it's I think that may come down to more experience.
yeah.
Uh,
Experience, confidence, and I think
yeah,
with
yeah,
experience comes a bit of confidence.
yeah. If you hit a wrong note, it's we're not saving, as you say, Jacob, is that uh we're not saving lives here.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
so if you hit a wrong note, you ain't gonna kill anybody.
Yeah.
But it could definitely get inside your head, in which can often lead to making more mistakes on top of that. Uh, so yeah, that plays that's huge, you know.
So Aiden said yes, offstage behavior, how much they want to work or perform may differ within the band.
Okay, yeah. If that music, if someone's in a band because
And
they
she's
want to be up front,
sorry to interrupt, Ace. She says
yeah,
she's I see that in my band. Some are on cloud nine after a take or a performance, and others who are picking apart how we did and how people received us.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's how many people in her band?
I think it's a big band, but the big is like, it's not like a trio. I think there's like 6 or 7 or 8 of them. Aiden, how
Mm.
many people are in your band? They're an awesome band. You should check them out. I 6 people.
What are they called?
6 people. I forget what they're called. Aiden gave me their album the last time we saw each other, and it was so great. I really enjoyed it. They pressed vinyl and everything.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah,
And then
there's gonna be so
so Ace is, or sorry, Troy is saying, when considering behavioral addictions, do you feel that the prevalence of the internet addiction is exponentially growing? What is has it surpassed some other more common behavioral addictions? So it is internet addiction exponentially growing, and has it
internet
surpassed
addiction,
some
you could
of
say.
the other more common behavioral addictions? And then Nate asked how he typed that when he was driving. So don't text and drive, folks. Stay safe out there, Troy.
Yes, please do talk to text.
And hi, Andrew McLean. Thanks for joining. Appreciate you being
No,
here. And Aiden's band is the Red Finks out of Peterborough, Ontario.
oh, I'm doing a show in Peterborough on the not this Saturday, next Saturday.
Oh yeah, who
Yeah,
are you with next Saturday? Are you with Shub, DJ Shub?
yeah, yeah. What is it called?
Hook up Aiden with some passes, bro.
Yeah, so I think the venue's called the Personal Touch.
The personal touch.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a Trent University
Okay.
event.
Okay.
So
Well, I
that's
think
where.
Aiden might have some pull there.
So yeah, so
Andrew's saying, Ace, you better come visit him. Andrew McLean.
oh, Andrew McLean.
Yeah.
I was actually going to text him about it. That's my old singer.
Oh,
So
right on.
yeah, what the hell's he doing on here? This is crazy.
I don't know, man. He just said, hey, gave a little
Yeah,
rock and roll symbol.
yeah, true.
Well, welcome, Andrew. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Oh, that's crazy. That's awesome. Yeah, I was just working out the details for that today. So once I got him, I was going to send him a message.
Awesome.
So,
Well, have a great show next week, man.
oh, thanks. Yeah, we go to Winnipeg on we got a show in Winnipeg on Wednesday, and
All right.
or Thursday. So leave Wednesday, show Thursday, home Friday,
Okay.
Saturday in Peterborough, and then yeah, where else are we going to? Winnipeg, or sorry, then we got home for a couple days, then Calgary, Banff, and Montreal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so doing little fly dates and
Yeah, yeah.
John,
Yeah.
jaunting.
Well, at least
So,
you're in the major markets. You don't have any like the double flights or anything like that. Seems
yeah,
pretty
no,
pretty chill. I'm heading out
yeah.
to Edmonton next week for the Juno Awards. I'll be there for a week.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I wish we were going, but
I wish you were too. It'd be great
yeah,
to see
not
you.
this year. Well, it was great seeing you at the Junos last year.
For sure. For sure it was. So
So,
yeah, let's get back to Troy's question about
yeah,
the behavioral addictions and the internet addiction, and if it's growing. I
most
think that's
definitely.
pretty safe to say yes. But then, has it surpassed some of the other more common behavioral addictions?
I would say so. That in video games is a huge one.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
I've definitely used video games to escape a lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, there's nothing really to add much to that, but internet is huge ones. There's a million reasons
Yeah.
uh, to reason why we're on it. And
Well,
next thing you know,
it's also designed that way.
oh, 100%.
It's like
It's
designed to
trap.
keep you engaged, and it reads what you're doing, it reads what you react
That,
to. It notices what makes you stop using it.
Mhm.
It's by design that it's becoming addictive.
Yeah. Hey, 1 second here. So I just noticed on my Zoom thing that I only have like 2 minutes left because I don't have a paid.
Oh, I'm not
Oh,
upgrading. I'm not upgrading to Zoom. Let's just start a new Zoom.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'll just do that.
Oh,
So
do you have a paid version or no?
no, no,
No,
I
okay.
use Discord because it's better.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I don't get
So,
paid. I don't get paid by Discord. This is an honest review.
yeah,
Okay,
fair
so I'm
enough.
just gonna. I guess I'll just end this, and then I'll just
Yeah, and
send
we'll
send
pick
you
up
another one.
that talk in about a minute.
Okay.
So you'll send over that thing and
Yeah,
stuff.
I'll send you a link right away.
Okay, 1 second.
Okay, one moment, folks. So do you have any insights into the mechanics behind self-harm and how it can become addictive? Interesting. That's a really interesting question. I'm going to join the computer audio here, and then I have to invite Ace. All right, I think this is going to work. Andrew McLean, were you my neighbor on Berry Road? Were you guys? No way you guys were neighbors. What a small world if you guys were neighbors. All right, admit. Hello, Ace?
Oh, there we go.
Hey. Man, Zoom sucks. Fucking bullshit.
I had the paid version for like so long, and then as things got back to normal, I was like, I don't need this anymore.
Yeah, I mean, like, Google Meet's free. Discord is free. Discord is just better by every metric too. But
Yeah.
all right, let's where were we at? Yes, the internet addiction surpassed. And we kind of got into talking about how it was kind of by design that it's addictive.
Yeah.
And then I guess the next question would be, do you have any insights into the mechanics behind self-harm and how that can become addictive? And it seems contradictory. Do you have any
No,
experience with like self-harm or anything like that?
not too much.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
too much.
I don't really either. More like behavioral and
Yeah,
physical addictions.
but I can talk about it. Let me know as soon as we're back up on Discord.
Oh, we're back up on Discord.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, as far as harming yourself, that's definitely addiction in itself. It's the need, or it's the I'm just trying to choose the right words because I know this is a sensitive area there,
Mm-hmm.
but there's definitely, pain with pleasure,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And once again, like when you're doing that self-harm, and hopefully not with the goal of completion,
Mm-hmm.
but just for the sting, or whatever it is. It's that because pain and pleasure are both driven by the whole dopamine and serotonin, which is the same thing that like drives our mood, drives drives the feeling that we get after performance. So, it's, and then on top of that, there's the whole like feeling of, if I get caught, it will bring some sort of attention, because people are worried about that. People don't want to see anyone else hurt themselves. And,
Hmm.
if someone is feeling that way, please reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to talk with you. Uh, because, although there's oftentimes where we feel despaired and things aren't going right, and we've you know especially in the last couple of months, as we've gone through like the cold and dark season, the seasonal depressions and all that, uh, and things just get really boring. And sometimes people feel the need to, you know have a dopamine rush, although they may not identify it as that's what they're seeking, but they just need a difference, so something different to happen. And that's one way of doing it, especially when we feel that we're stuck, and it's dark and all that, the time of year that it is, and we may not be feeling social and talking with other people, especially about this stuff. This
Yeah,
stuff is
it's
it,
heavy.
it, it's heavy. It's not easy to talk with others, you know. So hopefully we have at least one person in our lives, friend, even a stranger on the internet.
Yeah.
Uh, Sometimes it feels good to be anonymous,
Yep.
uh, but there are a lot of different online communities where you can post anonymous, and at least let that out, and maybe you'll have an opportunity to connect with someone, uh, to help us feel that we're listened to. And for us who work in the music industry, as much as I love my family and the people around me, they don't always understand what this work in this industry is like.
Yeah.
They think it's all the glitz and glamour and all that.
Yeah. It's like a vacation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was talking with my partner the other day, and she's like, she worked for a school board, and she's, 9 to 5 type of job, not 9 to 5, but like, same job day in and out. And she was saying to me, goes, yeah, your job is different. You're so lucky you get to travel. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, but you go everywhere,
No.
but you don't see anything, and you don't get to experience anything.
Yeah.
But unless you live that, or
Yeah.
it's very hard for people to understand that, and what it's
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. Dressing
So
rooms, green rooms, and hotels are the same no matter where you are. It's like
yeah,
it's weird how similar everywhere is when you're in those places. It's not a
lots of,
it's not a vacation, people.
yeah, lots of peopling with people that, like, that they're kind and all that, and they're cool people
Yeah.
and all that.
That's
But
my
at the
favorite part of it is the people, for sure. Meeting people,
Yeah, yeah,
building
and
relationships.
yeah, but a lot of the times, like, the relationship part in music is difficult. You got your bandmates, and hopefully you're tight with them, and they're your friends, and they're like true friends, not just work buddies.
Yep.
uh, but not every band member is going to be like that. But if you're in a band that's doing well, you're just going to hold on and see where it takes you.
Yep.
Could be like you're catching lightning in a bottle, so you're going to take that opportunity when you can.
Yep.
but but when you're on the crew side, it's a little bit different, because you don't have that nucleus of relationships that band
Yeah.
members may.
Yep.
And then you go from one tour, you hit it hard for, a couple weeks, couple months, but once you get home, you never see those people again,
Yeah.
until, the next, you know, uh, 5 months down the road, you'll see them for a couple weeks, 6 months
Yeah.
down the road. It's not a consistent relationship,
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because
especially.
the a band, they have these like tight knit relationships when they form, and then when they grow, it kind of becomes a job, and then you have responsibilities to that job and to the other people, and just like your like personal friendships and relationships, you feel those feelings more because it's like, oh, this guy's my friend, he's my brother, or they're like my sister, and now they're fucking up, and like you feel that more than you would towards like a work colleague.
Yeah,
you know
and sometimes you may feel, backstabbed
yeah,
you're extra disappointed
yeah.
in them. I'm not a massive
It's funny because they say don't go into business with friends or family, right? But that's what a fucking band is.
right. Yeah,
you know
you're supposed to have each other's back and all that,
yeah,
and then it only takes, like there's things that you can get over, but then once in a while someone just has a certain chord where you're just like, I can't deal with
yeah.
this anymore.
Have you ever thought about like doing like coaching or like kind of stuff for like a full band, and how to like get along as a band and group, and kind of like a group therapy kind of situation?
Well, I'm not really I'm not a therapist, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But I've yeah, I've thought about it. The opportunity hasn't come up in that
yeah,
way. I've definitely had to get involved with different bands where there was someone struggling with addiction, and we've had to sort out, a safety plan.
yeah,
Uh, so when we go, okay, there's no more booze in the dressing room, and then there's, we're going to have a very select few people backstage,
yeah,
and sometimes other band members are not happy with that change,
yeah,
because
yeah,
like, I don't have the problem. I'm
yeah,
like, but you say you'll do anything for your family, and this is what needs to be done right now.
yeah,
There may be come a time in someone's recovery where they become okay with that, me, but not everybody will or
yeah,
is able to, right? But if you give a shit about this person, and then sometimes they can't. Uh, I know a very public band, so I don't mind talking about it. And it's not someone who I've never worked with, but you got Great Big Sea, great
yeah,
Canadian band,
yeah,
right? But you have Sean who was in the band, and he and when he was in the recovery, because he's been in recovery for a number of years now, and when he was trying to work with it through the band wasn't able to give up that aspect, so he had to leave for his own health,
yeah,
right? So and they continued on. I believe they ended up breaking up, but without him, but someone who's in early recovery and trying to regain their footing, that's a lot to ask of your family and your friends and all that, and or your bandmates. And a lot of times, like even families, your at home birth parents and all, they have a difficult time with that change. So now you're asking, not your family, although it feels like your family, and sometimes they're even closer than your family members to make this change. There's some bands out there who've been able to make that change. Okay, sure, no problem. I know bands who've said, okay, well, if you're sober, we're sober,
yeah,
and everybody's in the same boat, and they're there to support each other. And then some people, they just aren't able to do that.
yeah.
So yeah, it's,
Well,
it's difficult.
that's like really like a healthy way to do it if you can. But I see, with addiction being so prevalent in music and the arts, you can have two people in a band or three people or everyone in a band that's just in different stages of addiction. So if you're saying, okay, well, now we got to you know have a dry tour and no booze on the bus and no booze in the dressing room, then like the other people are probably going to make a bigger stink about it than if they were people who were just had a social relationship with drugs or alcohol.
Yeah, and I think it's really difficult for a lot of people to recognize that struggle may be there for them, because someone thinks like, oh, I drink socially and that's fine. But when you're on tour every day, it's social,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that environment itself may trigger the may trigger the feeling or the need to consume. So uh so, so then it becomes challenging for everybody else, and force self reflecting in some cases. So if a band member who didn't think they had a some sort of alcohol dependency or addiction to it, now they're like, well, I don't know if I can do this without it because the tour is tough on its own,
Yeah.
and without having that uh, comfort of alcohol to help you manage those difficulties. Well, now we all have to figure something else out, right? So you know, it starts a whole new culture within that band. You
For
know,
sure.
I've seen some bands go, okay, we're not drinking, but an hour before, up to for an hour, starting 90 minutes before the show, we're going to do yoga and exercising and all that stuff to get ramped up, right? So
Okay.
and so it's like, okay, that works for some people, and some people are all on board. But
Yeah.
if someone's not, you know all they're just like, fuck this,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
uh
Well, you're only like, I find like just in any situation that if there's one person who's negative towards something, that they'll not only ruin the experience, but they'll eventually like poison the rest of the group.
yeah, and you're only as great as your weakest link, right?
100%. Yeah. 100%.
So
So, Aiden said, going back to self harm. She said, "I believe our brain feels joy and pain in the same areas, and thus both give us the same brain chemicals."
hmm
So, yeah, I think you touched on that there. And then,
yeah, that's dopamine and serotonin
and
levels
then
that.
Troy said, in some recent research papers, although they had small samples, we started to see that, he's going to make me say chemicals. Psilocybin has been outperforming es, escitalopram. Escitalopram.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that,
I'm not
but
familiar with it either. Let me Google it quick. We can maybe. I'm assuming it's some kind of mild hallucinogen. Okay, it's a drug. Um, Lexapro, so it's like a mood stabilizing drug. So
oh,
he's saying that like psilocybin mushrooms has been outperforming like mood
like
enhancing
like like
drugs
me-
like
like
Lexapro or Xanax and stuff like that.
right.
Yeah,
So medication,
yeah,
so prescribed medication. I've been reading the same research.
yeah.
uh
Same here.
and I don't want to sound like pro psychedelics or anything like that, but research lately has been proven that things like mushrooms and ayahuasca are definitely helps, and there's a lot of people microdosing on
Yeah,
mushrooms right now.
yeah,
Something I don't do, so
yeah,
I'm know the effects of it myself, but it's something that's helped a lot of people.
yeah.
So, and one thing about psychedelics is that although I hear it's enjoyable, it's like psilocybin isn't addictive, because as you use more of it, you actually need more to gain that high.
Hmm.
So, like, you can't do it 2 days, or if you do it one day, let's say you do 5 grams of shrooms, you'll need 7 or 8 to produce the same effect the next day.
I see.
And then in the third day, you might need 10. You know what I mean? Because your tolerance grows really
Yeah,
quickly on that. So your body after a while, like you'd have to eat a pound of it,
Yeah.
by day 7. So, uh, so yeah, so your body just stops reacting to it very quickly. So you need to give yourself a break in order to feel that effect again. So
Interesting. Have you
yeah,
read anything like, so if so that's like to feel effects, say, right? But
right.
have you read anything about just like the kind of, background things it does, like that you wouldn't really like notice per se, but maybe, just makes you, maybe focus a little bit more, or maybe like, just like
Yeah.
it keeps you from like dipping down in your mood. Like, do you would need to take a break from it, from like when you're, say, micro dosing,
Well,
or have you read anything about that, or?
I've heard that microdosing you can do that a lot more consistent,
Okay.
but you still need a break.
Okay.
So I don't know what the measurements are, but I know people who'll take put a tablet in their morning coffee,
Yeah.
right, and just drink it that way, and that what they tell me is that they tend to it perks up their mood, it helps them manage things easier,
Yeah.
uh but again, there's a lot of research needs to be done on it. So uh you know but then at what point, then it becomes a dependency, fairly
If it
quick.
does. Yeah. Like, and like, I think people,
Like
especially
you
if we're talking about addictions right now, and, I think people, if they are in, if they do have an addictive personality, I think they have to be very careful when it comes to this kind of thing. Like, I
Yeah.
know, I've never done ayahuasca before, but I have done other hallucinogens, and
Mhm.
I'm not going to go off about it because it's like it's all anecdotal, but
Right.
I've definitely personally had some positive experiences from it. A couple negatives, but mostly positive.
Mhm.
But I've heard that like ayahuasca, and some of the other stronger ones, so there's ayahuasca and like peyote, I believe, are kind of
Yeah.
more like stronger hallucinogens. And people say that, it's a very, spiritual thing sometimes. And then it can also just kind of open up their mind to certain things that they weren't open to before, or experiences.
Yeah.
And But I think, as from somebody who has an addictive personality, you have to kind of be careful with that, especially if you're in like early stages of recovery.
Yeah, like if you're in early stages of recovery, you're not taking shrooms. You know what I mean? Uh, or if you're in recovery at all, you won't be taking shrooms, because then you're not in recovery.
Yeah.
Uh, but
What did I show? I watched a show recently. It was about a guy who ran like an AA support group. It was a
mm,
really, really good show. I wish I remember the name of it because it's really great. But um, his like one of the guys in his group was gonna go do this like ayahuasca ceremony, and they're like, "What the fuck, man? Like you can't do that." But then he was
right.
like, "Yeah, come on, it's like spiritual. It's not drugs." So, but yeah, I really feel that, like, and my personal relationship with hallucinogens, like I've done mushrooms and I've done like um uh datura, like a Jimson
Mhm.
weed, and they're like more like minor kind of hallucinogens.
Yeah.
And But with mushrooms, like I've always enjoyed them. I've never microdosed them. Like I'll usually just like make a little bit of a tea.
Right.
And
Right.
like I can't even remember the last time I did it. It's been probably over 5 or 6 years now. But and like even before, when I did it through my like late 20s, early 30s, might have been like, you know, every other year, maybe on a camping trip or something. But I've definitely had some cool experiences on them, and I kind of see it as a definitely a enhancing thing a lot of the times.
I did them when I was younger, and I definitely had great effects on it. You know,
But I
you
think
know,
I think just that's just like you're kind of using them like recreationally though, right? Like I think
yeah,
like
yeah,
with the
recreational.
micro dosing, it's like a whole different thing, and like it kind of acts like more like these like mood stabilizers and things act like. But and then Troy just mentioned again. He said, "I see a problem with many mainstream medications having a withdrawal stage when coming off, such as fuck. Stop making me say this, Troy. Escitalopram, where psilocybin. Fuck, I fucking
Yeah,
hate you, Troy. um, the mushrooms does not have withdrawal effects.
right.
Psilocybin. Fuck.
I'm dyslexic.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Damn it, Troy.
But,
um,
but yeah, in the funny thing when it comes to a lot of like doctor's prescription is, so they'll give you a prescription, and especially with pain meds and all that other stuff, but they won't have like a plan to wean you off of them,
yeah,
right? And so, and you're gonna, once you get used to that stuff, you're going to try every way to keep using it. And then once your prescription's ran out, the doctor's like, "Oh no," then you're going off cold turkey, and cold turkey for people isn't good either. Because then you
yeah,
deal with all the withdrawals and from what I understand, it just sucks. So like e- you know, although I love my family doctor for some things, as soon as they start trying to push some pills on me, I say no thanks. It's I don't want to open up that door. If it's
yeah,
nothing more, extra strength Tylenol,
yeah,
because of like, I'm super in pain or I got a toothache or whatever,
yeah.
you know. But anything above that, uh,
I'm the
I
same. I'm the same way. I don't like it when I broke my leg, and like I was in the hospital. Like my whole foot was like turned around backwards, and they were trying to give me drugs. I was like, please don't. And then
yeah,
like finally, like I think it was after they had reset it. So this is like hours now,
yeah,
and like they reset it, and then it was just like I couldn't take it. So I was like,
right,
all right, and then I really fucking enjoyed it. And then they gave me like oxycontin to like take home with me, and I basically just got rid of it, and I bought some weed. And weed
yeah,
wasn't like a thing at the time. um it might have been decriminalized back then, but it wasn't like a prescription thing,
right,
at least in any mainstream capacity. But because I knew, because like, and that was like when I broke my leg, I was like very much like in my like peak of my alcohol addiction. And like and I knew that if I like got into like oxys and like different kinds of uh opiates, that like it would be fucking game over. So
yeah, yeah,
I at least had the common sense to not um like I knew I had problems, but I was like, well, at least I don't have those problems, you know.
yeah, yeah.
And I was like luckily smart enough to never get into like any kind of like opiates or cocaine or anything like that.
Yeah, if I had to take some sort of opiate medication for I don't even know what reason, you know what I mean? Like, I better be on my deathbed, and or or something super major. But like before I got into that, I'd be like, so what's my plan to get off of this?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, that's
yeah.
like
You said that before, and you're right. Yeah,
because that coming on, even with the plan, it's not going to be easy.
yeah,
So it's going to be, and dragging your family through all that crap, that where you'll be in, I'm no doctor, but I feel that there's a few other more natural drugs out there that could help out. Maybe not as
I think so
strong,
too.
maybe not as much strongly.
Yeah,
You know,
and we could
that
get into the whole like pharmaceutical industrial complex, but we won't. But
right. Like,
there, I think there's some reasons why you don't see these kind of readily available things like mushrooms replacing things, because you know there's like lobby groups about the safety of them and all sorts of stuff. But
yeah.
uh,
I
and
know
that
people are trying to pass that sort of stuff through,
yeah, well,
to
you
the
have one people trying to
guidelines.
push it through, and then you have pharmaceutical companies lobbying about safety regulations, health regulations, all that kind of stuff, trying to fight against it, right?
Which is so funny, right? Considering what their drugs do, right? And it's,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
it ends up just being a monopoly, right?
yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but but
We
when
kind of
it comes,
we talk about that a lot on this live stream when I get into like the music news and stuff. We talk about
right,
all the
right,
but like as it pertains to like events and stuff, not the medical industrial complex.
right, yeah. So like,
So other than sleep, this is from Troy. Other than sleep, diet, and activity, what do you feel is the most important fundamental key towards having good mental health?
besides, sorry,
Watching the
besides
Hostile
that,
Jakeover podcast.
yes, that's
Yes.
very good for you.
Yeah.
So sorry, can you repeat the
Uh,
three things?
yeah. Sleep, diet, and activity.
Yeah, those are major things. And if I'm going to add a fourth one,
Mhm.
it's be having someone to communicate and talk with.
Yeah, like a
Uh,
support
yeah,
team or
yeah,
support group. Yeah.
yeah, a
That's
friend.
that's a good that's a good piece of advice. My this is funny because this kind of like ties in like the theater and events and this my boss when I was in North Bay was a doctor, and then he put himself to through medical school by working in theater and events and stuff like that, and
Okay, cool.
and then when he got into his field, he was working in pharmaceuticals, mainly things like Xanax and like drugs that are used for like depression and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And we he ended up quitting and leaving the medical field and getting back into theater because he found that they were pushing the drugs too much and not offering them packaged with therapy or like support. And he knew like from all his research that the drugs are just kind of like a band-aid, but then the real healing comes from therapy and working with a doctor.
Yeah, working with a therapist and all that. So, you know, even with medication, it should be a temporary band-aid
Yeah,
in order to work through the trauma that's caused, but that takes a lot of work and it's expensive work. So people, you know uh, when it comes to doctors, it's a lot easier for them to prescribe medication than it is to say, hey, go work on yourself.
yeah,
uh, you
especially
know
here in Canada where like healthcare is like free. Pardon
Yeah,
me, right? It's like
and
it's easier to kind of push a drug than it is to like
yeah, because
put in the hours to do something.
therapy isn't covered, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people
Well,
think
even like pain
that.
medication, it's like if somebody has problems with their knee, it's easier to just like give them pain medication to get through the day than it is to operate on them,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. So eh, yeah. So I don't. We all have our opinions on how
Yeah.
corruptness and all that other stuff. That's a
Yeah.
conversation for
And I'm
another
not
time.
afraid to say it.
Right, right. So, but we're definitely you know, and that's why I believe, and also we got to remember, sorry, is that doctors are doctors of medicine and not doctors of health. So you got to listen to
Interesting.
your body.
Yeah.
You got to listen to your body. You got to listen to yourself. And sometimes when we're going through things, it's not always easy
Hmm.
to hear ourselves and sort of do a self check-in. And once again, that's why it's important to have a group, or a friend or a therapist to talk to,
Cool.
because they really help you self-reflect
Yeah.
and do those self check-ins in order to really focus on, like, what do we need. It gives you a chance to listen to your body.
Yep.
uh so yeah.
For sure. And then Sketch Troy also asked, "What are some of your mentors or favorite speakers that you see on social media pertaining to your field?"
uh I actually have
Ace
been
Piva is mine, but
yeah, I've actually taken a big step back from social media lately, but one of them is probably Gabor Mate. Uh, he's a doctor from Vancouver who worked at the Vancouver uh, in safety injection program, and he's written he's been on Joe Rogan, but I've knew him before he did that.
Hungarian Canadian physician.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He truly believes that trauma is experienced from the trauma that you experience as a child often results or can result in addiction as a way to manage those trauma experiences. So yeah, I've had the opportunity to sit down and have breakfast with him a couple times,
Very
and
cool.
yeah, Gabor Mate is up there, and then there's another guy named William Miller, or Bill Miller. Bill Miller invented this counseling technique called motivational interviewing. That's very helpful when working with clients. It's a technique. Uh, it's a conversation technique that gives the power back to the person in order to help them achieve their goals. So basically, I don't tell you anything, but I prompt questions, uh, or I come up with questions that prompts you and gives you confidence back into yourself, to uh, that that helps convince yourself that you could do better, and it helps you make reasonable changes that are suitable for you and your lifestyle. Because it's easy to say, hey, yeah, okay, I'm going to start seeing a therapist, but if the therapist is across the city and you got no money and it's difficult to get there, well, you're setting yourself up for disaster real quick, because you won't make it there. So being able to come up with a plan that's small steps and achievable, but it's something that you make up. uh, but sometimes you just need a little help in order to put together a nice recovery plan. So Willie Miller, he's awesome as well. So
Very cool. I put both of the
okay.
links for both of those people in the chat. So if you want
Yeah,
to check
but
them out,
Gabor Mate, he's a man.
cool.
So
So Ace, again, we're running out of time.
and I know,
I actually have a question for you.
yeah, sure.
We didn't get to in the podcast. But when we were talking, I can't remember if it was on the podcast or not when we were talking, but you mentioned that you didn't like have, like, you never were like had a problem with drugs or alcohol.
Hmm.
So like what I know we talked about, like, how you got into the, well, like, addictions and stuff in music, but what got you interested in addictions and mental health without
Yeah,
going through it
so
yourself?
yeah, so you know, uh, it's funny. Although I didn't have a substance use, I discovered going through school that I did have behavioral issues.
Okay.
You know, and to me, it was sex, because it helped me. regulate my emotions while I was on the road as often, because I wasn't able to maintain a lot of relationships back home because I was always on the road. Sex helped fill that gap for me, but I didn't actually realize that until I was going through school. And it's helped me, make a lot of changes in my life where I'm able to maintain a healthy relationship to today, and relationships not just with my partner, but with my family as well. Because, I put a lot of stuff aside when I was even had short times, periods of home time. I'd often neglect to seeing my family and friends uh, for distraction. So, but what sort of prompted me to go down this road was I was out with a hip hop artist who was in recovery,
Okay.
and then he slipped and he wasn't in recovery, and the tour started off on a high note, and then as soon as he slipped, managements and agents didn't care,
Yeah.
and it was very difficult to get things done, get him to do things.
Sorry to cut you off, Ace, but we do talk about this in the podcast.
Yeah.
And I get it now. So that's but support and talk therapy have been a thread throughout this conversation. In what ways can you coach someone through recognizing who their support people are and how to be supportive to others? That's from Aiden.
Sorry, one more time.
Support and talk therapy have been thread through this conversation. In what
Yeah.
ways can you coach someone through recognizing who their support people are and how to be supportive to others?
Uh, that's
It's a
a
really
tricky
great
question.
question. It's
Yeah, it is a great question.
like
But how to support someone?
well,
Uh,
I think the first part was finding who her support people are and ways to recognize who's actually there
okay.
supporting her.
y- y-
Maybe some
if
like
you're in a
green flags of a support person.
someone who you feel understood by and not judged by. So, it could be someone your mom, someone from your family, or maybe a bandmate, someone who you just kind of feel that you're able to talk to. Uh, maybe doesn't mean you've had to have had an in-depth conversation with them in the past, but if there's someone that you feel particularly comfortable talking with, try and lean on them a little bit. Just say, hey, I'd be like, hey, how do you feel about talking about mental health? Is that a topic you're?
God damn it. I hate Zoom so much. All right, I'm going to try and get Ace back on here because I want to finish this. I'm not paying for Zoom. I will not pay for Zoom. I refuse. There's free services out there that do it better. And then we will invite. And to Ace again. All right, we were trying to wrap up there, so he might have just left. So I'm going to call him quick, and so I'll just text him. All right, send him another invite to wrap up. So yeah, that's a great question, Aiden. I don't know the answer to that at all. I've it's always a struggle, right? Oh, I can admit Ace now. It's always a struggle finding people who are in your corner. I think it's just trial and error, really. Ace, put your headphones on.
Sorry, I was trying to get out of Discord there. All right, there we go. There we go. Yeah, I was trying to wrap it up really quick there, and then I
Yeah.
got cut off. But
This always
yeah,
happens to us, even when we're just talking. Like, we're like, all right, see you later, and then like a half hour goes by, and we're like still like. So
yeah,
the second part of her question was, what key tools do you think people need to have in order to be consistently supportive to others in an effective way. And she's asking this because she does a lot of behavioral coaching with children.
Okay. What? Now that I know that she works with children, a little bit, or repeat the question one more time.
What key tools do you think people need to have in order to be consistently supportive to another in an effective way?
Uh, for me, some of the tools I learn when I'm talking with someone is, uh, I don't give my opinions.
Okay.
I make sure that they feel listened to. Uh, because with opinions can come with a feeling of judgment, and oftentimes when people are feeling they need the support, they often just need an ear to listen to. So one tool I use often is I will sort of repeat some of the things back to them, so they feel that they are heard, and and you don't have to say it for verbatim or anything, but every once in a while I'll just be like, hey, just to clarify, this is what you mean, and they
Yeah.
go, yes, or they give you an opportunity to say, close but not exactly, right? Because one thing I've also learned is, although people may say one thing, they may not always mean it that way. So when you give them that feedback, it gives them a chance to correct themselves. Because if they're upset or they're kind of riffing off of a memory of an experience that's happened, it could have been from a long time ago, or a recent experience. Uh, they, they're not always 100% with the words, because they're like, oh, someone's listening to me. So they just sort of blab it all out at one time. So and so I ask them to slow down, choose the words, and then every minute or so, or at the end of a couple thoughts, I go, hey, just to clarify, this is what you mean. Bam, bam, bam. Then it gives them that opportunity to rephrase if necessarily, and also that also gives them the chance to recognize that you are listening to what they're saying. So that's why, like, during this conversations, I've often asked, Jacob a second time
Yeah.
to repeat the question, because I want to make sure that's exactly
Yeah.
what I'm trying to answer. Uh,
I think too, like I found when I'm, talking to somebody and we're having, we're kind of opening up emotionally. I'll I won't like I won't mirror. I'll kind of mirror, but it's more like, especially with children, I find like with my nephews, um, I'll kind of word it a different way so I have a better understanding of them, and because they're young, they don't really know how to maybe communicate their emotions and their feelings as well as an
mhm,
adult can. So I'll kind of ask them like in a few different ways. It's like, oh, you're angry. Okay, are you angry because like that that thing scared you, or and I'll get to the get it to the like the bottom of it a little bit and understand what their feelings really are, as opposed to just like maybe their reaction. You know what I mean?
mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah, no, that's a good trick as well. And also to use, I like to use the same language that they use. Once again, because that often makes people felt listened to. Uh, you know, and when I said earlier, don't give your opinion, but I don't, I shouldn't say don't give your opinion. Don't give unsolicited advice.
Yeah.
So as you feel the conversation is sort of like, or the person you're talking with has expelled everything that's on their mind, I would ask, like, hey, would it be okay if I if if I gave you a little advice if you're looking for it? You know, that way the the advice that you're given is wanted. You've asked
Yeah.
permission, and you're asking their consent that it's okay, because sometimes people don't want it. They just need it out, get it out, vent it out, and be listened to. And sometimes, oftentimes, I know I was talking about motivational interviewing there for a moment. That's a huge technique in which I will use people's words in order for them to like put together a plan. So, for example, and challenge them a little bit. So, an example I like to use is like, let's say you're working with a mother and someone who's may not have so much confidence in themselves. They might just say, you know what, I never do anything right. I try and I try and try and I get frustrated no matter how much I try, I never get anything right. You know, and let's say, the topic is getting the kids to school on time, without it being a big deal. And you'd be like, really? There's never been one time? Can you tell me one time? And they maybe say, you know what? If I really think about it, there was that one time 3 months ago, right? And you're like, well, tell me about what happened 3 months ago. What's different from every time? And there's a good chance if they may say, I don't know, I'm not too sure. But sometimes you'll get an answer saying that, I had a different routine, that day that really helped it out. So in that way, you're able to sort of, uh, highlight that they were actually able to do something a little bit different in order to be like, see, so that routine that you did on that day, uh, was it difficult to put into place? Or, you know, I advise looking into motivational interviewing because that's a fantastic tool in order to to work with people. It helps people feel listened to. It gives them power. It gives
I'm
them
gonna make a note
confidence.
of that because I haven't heard of that before, and since I do a lot of interviews, I think that'd be good for me
Yeah,
to research.
yeah. So motivational interview. William Miller, he's Bill Miller, however he goes by, uh, is phenomenal. So
Cool.
yeah.
Aiden said that she tries to ask, "Do you need me to listen, or do you need me to help solve the problem?" Yeah, I think that you know what, like that's something that I like recently learned, and I'm like
Hmm.
I'm embarrassed to say it because I'm like 40 years old, but like
Yeah.
when people talked to me and like you were talking about their emotions or something that happened, I would be very like practical about it. And
Yeah. And you start
and
giving.
like I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I'm single. Like because I'm like yeah, but it was like I was like in my like late 30s when I kind of realized that I'm being not as good of a listener as I could, or I'm giving unsolicited advice when people just need to be listened to.
I think from the male perspective, is that when people start telling us problems, we automatically take on the role of, well, of wanting to fix it,
For
right?
sure. For me, well, I
You
don't know
know,
about it for all men or whatever, but for me, for sure. Like I was like
yeah,
very, pra- very practical, not very emotional. You know.
yeah. Men are very practical, not very. We it took me a long time to develop an emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
A lot of working on, and that's not something everybody has, and that's okay. But still, even my partner gives me crap once in a while. She'll come.
Good. Someone needs to.
Yeah, yeah, she'll give me crap because she tells me stuff, and I go, okay, well, how can I fix it, right? And I
Yeah.
start giving unsolicited advice because at home I'm not in a counseling role, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
once in a while, I gotta
For
be like,
sure.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah. sorry, honey. You know, she just needs someone to listen to her. So so I think that's a really important thing is just listen, and then once people have vented and let it out, be like, is there anything I could do
Yeah.
to help? And sometimes like, no, I have it. I
Yeah.
just needed it
Hmm.
to get out. So you know,
Yeah.
uh,
I think too though, for like someone like me who, took a more pragmatic approach to things in talking with other people, um, I think it's a great idea is to ask them, it's like, is this something you need me to just listen to, or some if do you want help? Because I think if you just use that as an exercise, you'll kind of start to realize that sometimes, a lot of the times, people just want to talk. They don't want advice.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes I just need to learn to shut up. So
So yeah, I think sketch, like we have time. This Zoom session will go right into the live premiere of the actual episode. And Ace, you're more than welcome to I'll link you the link on email, and I'll link the link in the chat here, so you can watch the interview with Ace. It's not as I don't know, I guess mental healthy addictionsy. We talk a lot about just being brothers and crazy
yeah,
stuff on the road, and also mental health stuff, and we have a lot of fun and laugh. Way different than this conversation. Like, I remember my cheeks hurt so much from our from talking to you. But Troy wants to know if there's any time for more questions. My last one would be, for both of us, what's something that we wish we had more control over in our lives? That's a really, really good question.
um,
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first, and
Okay.
mine is I wish I had more control of, and the reality is I do, and it's take the time for me.
Yeah.
Even though I may have a day of like, I'll admit this has been a slow time of year up until recently. Holidays and just after New Year's is a slow time for the music industry. Yeah, I don't always take the time that I need to do the physical activity that I need, and that's just excuse. So something I need or I've been trying to do lately is, although I have the time, I need to take that time to do something for my own self-care.
Yeah.
So so that's that.
Yeah, for sure. You got to take time for yourself. That's something I've been working on too in the past year. Since I kind of left the production and tour management world, I've basically been on a 1 year hiatus, kind of reevaluating, taking time for myself, doing a lot of healing, doing a lot of self reflection. It's super important to do that, and I
Mhm.
and I have done it in a few points in my career, um, where I've kind of taken a little break, or just changed direction, and uh, taking a vacation, and like a quiet vacation, to kind of reflect on where you're headed and the direction you want to go. Taking time for
Yeah.
yourself is really, really important. For me, I think that if I had it is something else I've been working on. And I wish I had more control over, especially in the moments when things happen. But would be being easier on others and forgiving others is something that I wish I had a bit more control over. I find that oftentimes in some relationships, personal relationships, business relationships, I'll kind of get very emotional, upset. I'll hold people to quite a high standard, and I kind of focus on that, and I don't focus on their humanity and their flaws, and like I don't
Mhm.
allow that. So that's something I wish I kind of had more control over, and something that I was better at doing immediately, like not have to like reflect on it later, you know. But that's what I wish I had more control over, is my I guess my humanizing people when they've, maybe done something that I don't agree with or I think is wrong.
Yeah, that's a difficult thing to do. So it's a big challenge.
For sure. Yeah. For me,
So
I don't know. I think I see other people kind of, people I look up to that are like more, I guess, I don't want to say spiritually uh more advanced than me, but like philosophically more advanced. I don't know, but like I see some people who I kind of look up to in that regard, where they're very um, just kind, caring, considerate people, and like I was like, you know, I wish I was more like that sometimes.
I kind of figure that everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, and as we grow in some ways, we sort of deteriorate in others because there's only so much time we could dedicate to things in life. So, you may look at someone who's really, really good in the spiritual realm of their lives. I'm sure if you went asking them, they would say they're lacking somewhere else
Of
because
course,
it's just stuff we don't dedicate
yeah,
our time to, right?
yeah.
So life comes in ebb and flows, and for a good 3 years I was like right into yoga, right? And then for the last year I haven't been because I've been putting my time elsewhere. It's
S-
something I've started to get.
Speaking of
I,
yoga, Nate's here. You were doing Diamond Dallas Page yoga,
I did that today for the first time in like eight
did you?
months, and I'm just like, oh yeah,
Shout out Diamond Dallas Page.
DDP, my boy. So, but but hey, I do need to go for a minute. I got kids I'm supposed to put to bed an hour
Okay.
ago.
Well, Ace, thanks for coming in and doing this. This was really awesome. I'm glad the people who've been following this podcast got to ask you these questions. I thought it was really cool. This is the first time I've ever had a guest on the live stream, so it was really cool to have you on.
Yeah,
And I'll be
beautiful.
chatting with you
Anytime.
soon, man. If you want to come
Yeah,
on, I'll link you the thing for the. It's not like this. It's just like a typing chat on YouTube while you watch
okay.
the episode. But everyone's saying thank you for all the great answers tonight. Great show. The show's not over yet. Ace just has to go, but I'm going to roll this into the YouTube premiere of Ace's episode. Aiden says thank you. Troy says thank you. I say thank you.
Yeah.
I love you, brother, and I'll
Love
chat with you
you.
soon, man.
Yeah, and anybody feel free to. I'm most active on Instagram these days, so at Ace Piva. So if you feel like reaching out to me, I'm around and I'm always down for a chat. So
Put that into the chat in case anyone wants to follow Ace on Instagram.
yeah, feel free to reach out. I'm always down for a good talk. So,
Awesome, dude.
anyways, I gotta go. I got two young kids I'm supposed to put in bed an hour ago, so they're gonna be sleepy tomorrow. So,
All
all
right, man. Go be
right,
dad. I'll talk to you
all
soon,
right.
brother.
Take care. See
Later.
you. Bye.
I love Ace. Ace is awesome. All right. Well, this went way longer than I thought. As always, I either run too long or too short, and then when I run too short, I usually just mess around with Troy on Chat GPT or something like that. But I guess we'll just, quickly go through the news. Let's do some not-for-profit stuff first. So I had a great chat with a very amazing potential partner and board member for the group. They run a bunch of different companies in the music industry, and they're also open to a board member position and a very important board member position. So I'm very excited about that. That happened this week. I used this week to reach out to a lot of artists. I did a lot of engagement on social media, and I distributed my information package to everyone who was interested. I got a lot of great feedback and response from it. So, I think that I think that the industry is ready for something. Even the people who said they couldn't be a part of the organization or couldn't partner or like that, they still said that it was really awesome, and they said they would support me in more background ways, not so much publicly, because they do have relationships with these companies that we would be competing with, like Live Nation and Ticketmaster, so they don't want to damage those relationships. So like the industry is ready. Like even people who are partnered up with Live Nation, Ticketmaster want to get involved somehow, but more behind the scenes. So it's really amazing. This week was been just fantastic, and just reaching out, talking to all these industry professionals and getting the feedback, and having these conversations about how I can partner with other companies, how I can partner with other people, and how other people can support this not-for-profit initiative. So yeah, very cool week in the not-for-profit world. And let's get into the music news. So this was an event, a Pollstar live event. They talked about this new Fair Ticketing Act. So the Fair Ticketing Act is a like a Live Nation. Basically, it's a Live Nation lobby. Through I've seen, you see it all the time when like somebody gets into like a Department of Justice hearing. They'll be on the stand and everyone will be saying everything that's wrong, and they'll be like, well, we think this should happen. And it's like, no, 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 you're here for a reason. Like, we're going to decide what happens, and like how we're going to change things. Like, you're the problem. You're not going to make laws to solve the problem that you created. So I just thought this was really interesting, the way that they put this Pollstar live thing together. This like press slash panel slash whatever the hell it was. So Irving Azoff, from the Azoff company, and then in the article it just says he's from the Azoff company, former CEO of Ticketmaster. Garth Brooks, huge artist, been in bed with Ticketmaster forever, has sweetheart deals with Ticketmaster. And then James Dolan, CEO of Madison Square Gardens, a longtime partner of Ticketmaster and Live Nation. And like Irving Azoff was the mediator of this thing. It's like these guys are all on the same side. Like, what is this guy mediating? Like I didn't get it. And then when I started researching into it more, Pollstar was founded by Irving Azoff, the former CEO of Ticketmaster. So this whole thing is just like such a such a funny thing. So the Fair Ticketing Act, a lot of the other ticketing companies kind of basically just said no. Like, this is just more ways for Live Nation can keep their dominant market share. Like literally every ticketing company kind of spoke out about this new Fair Ticketing Act, because it obviously it's a law, or bill, or whatever, being lobbied by Live Nation. It's obviously going to benefit them in some way. They wouldn't like make laws to their detriment. So I had this really awesome article, but I'm gonna table it for next week because we just definitely don't have time to go through it. You know what? We don't have any time to go through anything. That's all we have time for, because it's 10 o'clock and we're about to go into the episode 6 with Ace Piva is going to begin any second. So I'm going to paste that into the chat right now. Bam. If you click on that link, it will bring you into the waiting room. So it will start at about 10:05. There's like a little 5-minute waiting room. But I'm already in that waiting room, so if you want to move that chat over here, I'll just be chatting with you over there. So hit that link. And even if you're not going to watch, hit the link and just watch it so my views go up. Also hit the subscribe button. I never say hit the subscribe button. If you're not subscribed to my channel, it really helps out. It also helps out if you like comment on like my videos and stuff. I don't usually ask for it. Oh, here we go. Look at this. It's starting. It's really relaxing watching the countdown. It is kind of relaxing, isn't it? This is oddly the alternative countdown, it's called. And like it's the most chill one. And then there's like one that's even called like relaxed, and it's like crazy. Like it made me think I was in like a jungle chase or something. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Thank you for all of your comments, your questions for Ace. Thank you, Ace, for joining us. I'll see you all next week. Much love to everybody, and enjoy episode 6 with Ace Piva. I'll be in there chatting. Talk soon.